guys, we made it through airport security and check-in. They tried to make me check my bag at check-in for my carry-on, and I was like, there's breakables in it, which there is. And they're like, we'll see. And they made me put it in the sizer, which I've never done for an international flight before, especially with United. And then they're like, all right, fine, it fits. You're good. And I was like, thank you. But now we are off to the airport lounge for a little bit of brekkie, maybe a glass of champagne, cava, and then off we go. I'm currently sitting in the airport lounge. I'm working on the video that's going up today, which will already be out by the time this video comes out, which is the top tax tips for expats and digital nomads. Definitely check that out. It is so good. I sat down with 2 international tax experts and we talked about how you can actually save money as a digital nomad, about tax residency, tax tips, and what to really think about before you move somewhere or to help you make a decision. So definitely check that out. I'll have it linked up at the top for you guys to watch. But I am definitely excited to go home for the holidays, but I feel like once the holiday itself ends, then I'm kind of home and I'm always like, I love my family so much, but I don't miss the place. Like if I literally go back for a couple days, I scratch my itch of home and I'm like, time to get out. And I don't know if you guys have dealt with this or if you are a digital nomad or someone who's moved abroad or even moved away from your hometown. When I go back, nothing has ever changed. And I'm not saying that I've changed so much and this place hasn't changed and I'm better. It has nothing to do with that. But the reality is that I have evolved so much as a person since I left and since I quit my job and moved abroad and I've lived in different countries, and I've become a completely different person. Like, hands down, completely different person than the one I was when I was living there. And so when I first went back the first time, I was like, wow, I feel so different. Does anyone else notice this around me? And the reality was that people realized a little bit, but they don't really care because they can't truly relate to it. And so the longer that I've spent away, the less and less that I relate to my friends from home. And we're still all really good friends. I still love seeing them. I love catching up with their lives. But because my life is so different than theirs and they can't relate in any fathom, I feel like they don't really care. To be completely frank, I have my best friend who always wants updates on my life and is always curious, and I'm the same way with her, and we have completely opposite lifestyles. But I would say besides that, no one else really cares. And one thing I did learn after my first trip when I went home, and I felt like I was so excited to talk to everyone and tell them the stories and all these things that happened, and then I got there and I realized people just don't care because they can't picture it. They've never been there. They can't imagine what it's like. So you really only have I would say about 60 to 90 seconds of someone's true attention before it starts to waver off. And that's fine. I get it. You've never been to places I've been to, so you don't get what it looks like. You don't get the impact. And sometimes people want to listen. I'm not saying every single person is like this. Most people will ask you how your trip has been, how life is. Like I said, you get about a 60-second window of where they're actually locked into what you're saying. And then after that, it starts to fade out because they can't relate to it. And that's fine. And that's kind of how I feel when I talk to them about their lives. I don't relate to it. So I do ask them, but am I really intrigued? Most of the time, no. To be completely honest, I'm not. But I've also learned, because I'm on the other side of that all the time, to continually ask questions about, but at the same time, I'm interested in you as a friend, so I want to listen to you. And I think I've been shut down by so many people being uninterested without them realizing what I'm saying, that I try and remain interested in other people. But it's always this weird feeling. And the longer I spend away, like I said, the less I relate. And since I'm 31, all of my friends are married. They're all pregnant or with children. And so I'm the only one really that isn't in that phase of life. And that's totally fine. And I'm completely happy with that. I'm in no rush for that phase of life. I have so many things I want to accomplish with my business, with content, with life, with travels, before any of that baby kid stuff kind of comes into play. So I don't mind that I'm different, but I feel more and more out of place, I would say. I think I've also, with being so out of place, I've come to terms with it a bit. So I feel like I just kind of know what to expect every time I go home. But I talked to some friends who recently moved abroad and they're going home for the holidays for the first time. And they're really excited. And they were like, oh, if people are trying to, especially with the election, like, oh, people are going to try and argue with me or whatever about America and these things and that. And I'm like, they might, but completely honest with you, they probably lose interest very fast in your lifestyle. And it's just the truth. I think your close family and maybe your best friends are really interested. Over time, they become less and less interested, I would say. They just chalk it up to that as your life. But even with all of that, I still enjoy seeing my family and friends. For me, it's one of those things, like, I almost wish I could, like, cherry pick my family and friends out from where we live and, like, plop them in Barcelona, and I think I'd have the best life ever. But that's obviously not reality. So I think that's just a part of kind of understanding the life of living abroad. Because the hardest part of living abroad is being so far from your family and friends and trying to explain why you need to do that, because I think it can be heartbreaking for your family a bit to know that you want to live somewhere that is so far away and that you want to live somewhere that's thousands of miles and lots of flights and all that kind of stuff, and it's not easy for them to visit, it's not easy always for you to see them. And so I think that definitely, like, weighs on you a bit. There's a massive amount of guilt that you feel when it comes to living abroad and when it comes to making these big moves. And I think even if you moved across the US, because the US is so big, if you moved from New Jersey to California, you're not going to see your family as much because it is far. It's very similar as to moving to Barcelona. The flight's literally not much longer to Barcelona than it is to California. So you kind of have to learn to live with the guilt, because at the end of the day, no matter how much you love your family and your friends, they can only provide you with so much individual happiness, like personal happiness. And I think you really need to go after your dreams and you need to live out the things you really want to, because when you're the happiest version of yourself, you show up the best as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, whatever you are to anyone in relation. You show up as the best version of you when you are the happiest version of you. So you need to make yourself the happiest, and your friends and family, although they might give you shit in the beginning, eventually they will come to see how happy you are, and maybe they come to visit and they're like, I totally get it. But you just, like, you learn to have your heart in two places. And some days it's easy for me, and some days it's really hard. Some days I'm super homesick and I feel really bad, and it's like I miss my family more than anything. And so you kind of learn to live with your heart in two places, one with your family and the people you grew up with, the people you love more than anything, and one with the place that you love, the place that you feel understood, the place that you feel like you can be your most authentic and real and dreamiest self. And so I've learned to kind of deal with that and realize that although you might feel the guilt, at the end of the day, like, you do need to make yourself happy, because that's what everyone is doing on this planet, and you don't want to regret not doing things when you're older. So those are my thoughts on kind of living abroad and the guilt and kind of going back home and the feelings I get. And I think if you're in this sort of lifestyle, you definitely relate and understand. And if not, then maybe you have someone in your life who kind of have some same, and you can maybe have a little bit of empathy for the way they feel sometimes. But yeah, I'm now going to, after this little TED talk now, I'm going to finish my YouTube video. Like I said, I'm doing the description and all kind of stuff and scheduling that up so it'll go live while I'm on the plane. And yeah, I'm just really excited. But we are, I think, 30 minutes until boarding. And the flight's at 11. We have an 8-hour flight. Gonna have my glass of champagne, my one that I'm allowing myself. And I made myself a nice little yogurt bowl. And yeah, off we go. Made it through that 8-hour flight. It wasn't too bad, actually, to be honest. And now just waiting for the luggage and then a nice little easy drive home. I just honestly watched some movies on the flight. I made my own sandwich, which I actually loved having and would 100% do again over having the airplane food. And then I edited some YouTube videos, which is good because I felt productive on this one. Didn't sleep, but I honestly feel fine because it's only like 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. Barcelona time, so I'm still fairly awake. And then go home, have some good food, see the fam. But yeah, hopefully the bags come out quick because I'm sweating and I'm ready to be out of the airport and out of this airport outfit, but hopefully it's quick.